Hey guys, 201 podcast. I'm Adam. I'm with Alex. How are you?
What's up? I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I've been better. Daniel, how are you?
Um, I'm okay, but I know I'm not gonna be okay after we talk about the things we need to talk about.
Yeah. So about 10 minutes ago, not even like 10, 15, I don't even know. I got on the Zoom call. Alex, of course, always starts them. Normally we start the show. We're back. Woo, woo, woo. But like honestly, we're not gonna do that. There's just um, I got on the Zoom call and Alex says something along the lines of 2020 just got even worse. I'm like, do I go on Twitter? And I thought there had been a hockey trade that was gonna be, I don't know, the Blackhawks got like Alex Petrangelo or something for some random reason. And instead, I see that Alex Trebek has just passed away. It just like, I think, and Alex can tell you, I've just been like in a mess since I saw it. It's talk about, I don't even know what to say. It just, guys, it sucks. It sucks so badly.
Yeah. I I don't have many words. Like I don't know what to say. Like cuz it sucks.
Jeopardy put out their stuff on social media saying he passed away early this morning. I don't think they officially said it was due to his cancer, but I mean, he'd been fighting it for a while now. And like for that, you know what? I had styled my hair. I was trying on a new hairstyle, and when I saw this, I'm like, screw that. I washed the hair out. Right now, I'm wearing my Hockey Fights cancer hat because you know what? If we could swear, I'd have a few choice words for cancer. Um, because like, oh, it just there's so many words I want to yell right now. We've lost a true legend today. Jeopardy would, you guys, I'm sure you've seen that famous clip of that one contestant who he didn't have I think it was an all-star tournament, and he put like "We love you, Alex" as his final Jeopardy question.
Yeah.
Like Trebek got choked up, and it's like you're seeing all that now, and it's just it is so not fair. And a huge hockey fan too. Used to be a Red Wings fan, but after the passing of Gordie Howe, became a Canadiens fan. I mean, it it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have anything more to say. It's a dampener to open the show, but I mean it is. It sucks. This sucks.
Yeah. For me, I think, just kind of thinking about like the good memories of things where it was really a huge shock for me personally because he's been such a huge fixture of my childhood that
Yeah.
you'd see it every day, 7 p.m. Watch it with the family, and you do your best to try to guess everything, but it just even when he was diagnosed with cancer, and we knew he was going through the treatments with everything, like he still kept his spirits up. He
Yeah.
still kept that personality going, and yeah, just more to him for like battling through it and getting through everything.
I remember there was stuff coming about how he thought he wasn't doing a very good, after, the cancer and doing chemo, that apparently it was sort of taking a toll. Obviously, chemo takes a hit on everyone, but apparently he thought he was having trouble, like really, presenting the questions out to contestants. And people were like, Alex, what are you talking about, man? You know what? If you didn't know that he was going through it, I don't think you could have been able to tell. He was just so great at his job. And again, yeah, everyone grew up with him. Everyone knows that, sadness for 500, Alex. Like I don't think there's been a more consistent part of our lives than Alex Trebek and Jeopardy. It's I don't think I've ever been this heavily affected by the passing of someone I don't know. Like this is like Chadwick Boseman was like, man, that, and like you respect him for, he was a great person. Everything, like filming all the Avenger movies with colon cancer, I think it was. And it's just, but Alex Trebek, it's just the heartstrings. It's a rough turn, but shall we move on, lads?
Rest,
Sure.
rest in peace, Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Condolences to the family. Rest in peace, Alex. Because damn, everyone today is going to be remembering you and we all love you. And it sucks. And I'm choking up, lads. I don't think I can ever watch an episode of Jeopardy ever again. Rest in peace, Mr. Trebek. We all love you. But I mean, we do have some good news, lads. Congratulations to President-elect Joe Biden, and of course Kamala Harris, who is the Vice President-elect, the first ever female Vice President, first Black and first South Asian president, because I believe she has a Jamaican parent and the other parent, I forget which ethnicity, but obviously South Asian. History making, fantastic, guys. The U.S. is celebrating. Not everyone is, but I mean, looking at stuff like Philly, the guy dressed up as Gritty, New York, everyone, it is it's, I don't know how you felt when you guys first saw we're trying not to get in trouble here. This is a hockey podcast, by the way, in case any of you are wondering why the banner of this is hockey mask. We're talking about the presidency. What sort of went through your guys' head when you first saw it officially came out? It took a few days because of all the mail-in ballots and all the sort of stuff around that. Joe Biden, president-elect, what went through your guys' mind? Daniel, I'll ask you first because your face is on my Zoom call big right now.
For me, it's relief, to be honest. I think that as journalism students, we're always kind of looking for the information. I think Alex talked about it last time where like, man, it's that feeling of you want to check Twitter all the time, but you also don't want to because of the information overload or the fact that, it's such incremental updates every single time.
Oh, yeah. 50,000 votes ahead, 100,000 votes ahead. It was...
So what I kind of got with it was a sigh of relief, to be honest, when I saw Joe Biden won. Mm-hmm. That I know that it's still going to be a bit of repercussions. With,
it's not over.
Yeah, we don't know what Donald Trump's going to do, but, it's a bit of a sigh of relief. And, okay, this is just one funny thing. It's just a very small tidbit. Mm-hmm. It just made me laugh. And I think it went kind of with the joy of what was going on right now, is when he was saying his speech, Joe Biden last night, mm-hmm. He was also tweeting his account and people were responding, hey, how are you tweeting while you're also talking to me on the TV?
Sorry, did people not realize that he doesn't like Trump is the same thing? You think he runs that account?
Yeah.
He was literally tweeting mid-debate.
It just made me laugh. I don't know why. It was a good piece of humor throughout this whole, this whole struggle in a way of what this election has been.
What was really funny was where Trump was giving his sort of the media address yesterday. Was it?
Yeah.
The Four Seasons.
Across the street from a certain adult store or whatever, and it looked like it was a junkyard. It's like, what's going on here? Because he was golfing, wasn't he, or something the same day?
It looked like an abandoned building.
Yeah, he was golfing apparently.
It reminds me of the No, I was gonna make a GTA 5 reference, but no one's gonna get that. But it looks like
I will get it. I played GTA 5.
You see the Greater Toronto Area 5?
What?
That's what they need to do. Stop. GTA 6, it's Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area. Okay.
Just going through Pickering.
Can we drive by Adam's house?
Mission 1: go to Pickering Town Center. Pick up the bourbon chicken.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, that's one of those rough quests. Like awesome. You're biking against Jimmy. This is like there's this one like it's almost like a really crappy like it's almost like a scrap metal place. It's when you fail doing the prison heist job and you're the pilot and you always spawn right outside of it. It's by the arena in the airport in the game, but it just looked like why are you there? It feels like that's where like I don't know. There'd be like. How do you say it? It looks like there should be like a fight in Greece, like in that, like the movie. It feels like a bunch of greasers should be in there. Like
like the movie Grease.
Oh, the movie Grease.
Okay.
I'm not saying a bunch of Greek dudes with.
I thought you were talking about the country Greece.
It's not like a falafel place.
Okay.
No,
falafel. I don't know if falafel is not a Greek thing.
No, it's Middle Eastern.
I thought. Oh, really?
No. Yeah,
it's Greek food. I like Greek yogurt. I thought
souvlaki. You're thinking of souvlaki.
So you know why I thought that? I'm not a racist. It's because there is a.
I didn't think you were.
There are two. I appreciate that. It's because I think it's Bramley City Center. Okay. There's a Jimmy the Greek place, and I think it's next to, or it does the same food. So I was like, or it's next to the Salve. I can't even.
Yeah.
pronounce it.
I mean, if we go through like the history of things, like a lot of the mixing, like when you said like the yogurt thing, like
Yeah,
if we go back to like
can go through the
Byzantine
history.
Roman Empire kind
Wow.
of mixing
Okay,
of
all right,
cultures. But
Adam,
anyways,
I'll-
this is not a history.
Adam's history. Daniel's history corner.
This
Yeah.
is not.
Daniel, I'll do it with you. I'll do it with you. I
Okay,
love history.
but this is not a history podcast.
So if
No.
we're going through the history of Pokemon, it all started when Arceus created the world. Anyway,
Maybe that will be our next bizarre adventure, the history corner.
there is an Arceus Pokemon movie. So don't.
Episode 1, Pokemon.
Don't tempt
Episode
Adam.
2.
Don't
episode,
tempt that. Don't tempt Adam like
Episode 2, Byzantine
Pokemon
Empire.
2000,
Episode
man.
3, American politics.
Yes, there's a Roman Empire thing from Sean Bean that we could watch.
Sean Bean?
that. I love my
Yeah.
history.
Is it
I want
GoldenEye?
Drive to, what? No, I want Drive. Stop it. I want Drive to Survive season 3. It's gonna be so good. Just do a whole episode on Monza. Just do it.
Oh, I'm ready for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be fantastic. But yeah, congratulations to the new president elect and vice president elect. Hopefully, there is a smooth transition of power.
This isn't over.
It's
I
not,
hope you
it's
know
not.
that.
Election month,
think we all
according
know
to
that.
Frank.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
People don't know who Frank is, guys.
Yeah, Daniel, he doesn't know. No one knows.
Frank is he's in our program. He's an American citizen in our Canadian journalism program. Great guy. Wizard with politics, by the way. Like, great guy. Thank you again for helping me and helping the Rysonian with your
Just by
With the
chance, if
editorial
he's
project.
listening.
just by chance if you're listening, Frank. Thank you.
You know who we should give a real shout out to? John King. God bless
Yeah.
that man.
I wish I had that
Did he
enthusiasm.
even sleep?
I think it was the first few days he had only had 7 hours. He probably had naps. So I hope right now he's having a he's probably still sleeping. He probably saw that Biden won and was like, right, okay, I'm gonna go to bed now. He's like a caterpie. He goes into the 4 years between elections, he turned into a metapod, and then once it's time for him to do his thing, he turned into a beautiful butterfree.
It's like in Lord of the Rings where he's just like
Did you have
hibernating, and then you see the fire.
to
get
like,
ignited?
light the beacons?
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, it's election time."
There was another guy like John King, but I think it was MSNBC. Stephen something. It's not coming to me. I'll find it.
Even not John King.
Stephen, not John King. Exactly.
They
That's a
both
great-
saw the signal that CNN and NBC calls
Yeah.
for help.
Man, how happy do you think the CNN guys were when Biden
I know
won?
Van Jones. He was tearing up there.
I remember when was it when Trump was elected and Van Jones had that really I forget what he called it, but I remember watching it. It was like, oh crap. Well, like when Trump was first elected, it was I imagine
I don't
mean,
even
like,
remember.
Jake Tapper had some good tweets. I'm sure Anderson Cooper is probably like, yeah, good. Because man, they have it has been an interesting 4 years between those two parties. I will tell you that right now.
I don't even remember 2016 when he got elected. To be
Oh,
honest,
you remember it's Austin Matthews, right?
I maybe like yeah.
Right. Want to talk about hockey?
Okay.
I think we probably should.
Yeah.
We missed this last episode, but it happened early, like day over recording. Columbus Blue Jacket forward Gustav Nyquist is out 5 to 6 months after shoulder surgery.
Ouch.
A key part of their penalty kill. Apparently, he's a good penalty killer. What was it? Let's see. Django said that one time. Yeah, I guess I had stupid coaches. Gustav Nyquist said. Mike Babcock, how's it doing? But another sort of team that's going to be without a key forward to start the season, whenever that happens. We'll talk about that a little later. But lads, that's a pretty big loss. They don't have a lot of flashy forwards due Columbus.
No, and they don't have a particular one signed.
Beside Nyquist, it's like, who's going to play with Domi? Probably Nyquist.
Liam Foodie.
Liam Foodie, yeah. It's like Cam Atkinson and Foligno are the only healthy ones right now.
What if Alex Texier?
Is he a center?
Yeah.
He's played center, yeah. Like he's gone back and forth.
He's
Played center
young.
for the World Juniors.
I thought he played center.
Wait. For the World Juniors?
Yeah.
What team did he play for? Because he's French. Like,
Yeah.
French.
Like not the tier 1 World Juniors.
Oh, okay.
Division 1A, I see here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the year when England beat France in like the final thing and like France got relegated? Let's go! Screw you, France. Let's go, England. Woo!
But
Go
yeah,
boys.
going back to Gustav
Gustav,
Nyquist,
yeah.
he's a guy that I think two things. I really thought he was gonna break out in the Detroit. Like I thought he was gonna be like one of those really low picks that just ends up being like, a franchise cornerstone for them. Maybe I was just too overzealous with that. But when he went to
Maybe.
Columbus, like he fits in so well with that system.
I remember when he got signed, a lot of people were like, "Are they just signing a guy?" I mean, if I'm being honest with you, I always thought that Gustav Nyquist was going to turn into Thomas Tatar, like a safe 20 goals sort of guy. He could still be that. It's just Columbus, yeah, he fits in the style, but I think he has a bit more offense to show. Alex, what about you? What are your thoughts
Yeah,
here?
no, I think I would have. Sorry, I think I would. I think he would have been a 20 goal scorer. Like if they played the rest of the season, so 12 more games for Columbus, he probably would have hit 20 goals. He was at 15. Like it's a possibility. Like he scored 20 goals, 3 times in his career. So I think. Listen, I think that because he's in Columbus and Columbus isn't offense heavy, he's probably their second best offensive player behind Pierre-Luc Dubois. Like, I don't know if Cam Atkinson's strength would you consider his strength offense?
I would, yeah.
Yeah,
He's a 30 goal scorer before.
He's like
I
a
guess. So third. Okay,
not
either
as
way.
well known Mike Hoffman.
Okay, you're right. I was wrong about Cam Atkinson. So Gustav Nyquist is their third best offensive forward. Is that fair?
Yeah, but on like a Leafs team or even Montreal as a stretch, because we focus on those two teams, people, he would not make the top 6 on those two squads, I'd say. But on Columbus,
yeah.
it's kind of like Ryan DeZingle in Ottawa, that he's just, I think the opportunity is there. And I'm not dissing Nyquist. I think that's still a useful NHL player.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I just don't. I think because he was on Detroit, maybe it seemed like he was better than especially the last few years where, Detroit really hasn't been the greatest. And Ken Holland continued to push for the playoffs when maybe that wasn't the best idea for the team. But either way, it's a huge loss for this team.
Yeah. Hey, though, you know what I will say, guys, maybe closing thoughts on this little part here. If there's a team, though, that maybe could get away with it, maybe Columbus, but at the same time, there probably might be another team that hopes that maybe our start date for hockey does go to maybe a February. But we'll talk about it now. It's a perfect sort of transition here. Pierre LeBron, first of all, for some context, the NBA players approved a December 22nd start date for their 2020-2021 season, lads. By the way, I'm kind of excited to see basketball next year. And I'm really hoping.
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm kind of excited. I hope.
Is it happening?
Because I think so. Well, they're the NBA.
Michael
They'll figure it
Scott
out.
GIF? Insert Michael Scott GIF?
Well, so this is from Pierre LeBrun of TSN on Twitter. In lieu of
Wait,
the
you
NBA
didn't. Wait, why are you excited to see basketball come back?
Because I hope Milwaukee fail this year.
Okay. I just wanted to know.
Wait, why don't you like Milwaukee?
Because I want Giannis on the Raptors, so I can be a basketball fan.
Okay.
So I can be a basketball
That was
fan.
my promise. I said on this show, if you, I don't remember what show it was.
Wait,
very
so
early
you're
on.
saying you weren't a Patrick McCaw fan?
I don't know who that is.
He's a 3-time champion.
I don't know who that is. Who did he play for?
He played for the
Toronto.
Raptors.
He
won with the
that
Raptors.
is. I don't know who that is. I think you talked about him before, and he was like a bench warmer, and he was hurt. And that's
He's like the new Claw. Patrick McClaw.
Anyway, I said on this show, if the Raptors sign Giannis, then I would hop on board the bandwagon. But anyway, from Pierre LeBrun on Twitter, Mr. TSN boy, I love Pierre. In lieu of NBA news, the latest on NHL, Bill Daly, that's Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly, by the way, says January 1st puck drop, quote, remains our objective. with the joint NHLPA Return to Play Committee. By the way, that's apparently grown in numbers. It's not in this tweet, but I thought we'd mention. I think it was up to 22 players. Has yet to meet, nothing yet scheduled. This was on November 6th, by the way. Though a source says top leaders of the PA/NHL have been in daily contact over the 2020-2021 season. It's interesting that we talked about this last episode, and Alex, I think you mentioned that I think it was like the CHL was looking at February, I think as well was the AHL, and it sort of pointed towards maybe the NHL would go that route as well, and we could start hockey all at the same time. No, the NHL are still, and I don't think publicly they would come out and say, "Nah, we're done," but they are still targeting, Alex, that January 1st date.
Yeah, it's gonna be because there's a few restrictions that they're gonna end up having to follow, and I don't mean health guidelines. I mean like economically, just because this is the reality. The Olympics, who in the U.S. the rights holder is NBC, happen to be the rights holder to NHL games. They begin in July, right? If they happen, right? But the IOC saying this is happening no matter what.
And well, those are the 2020 games that got pushed back, right?
Yeah, and I believe Tokyo. So if you're the NHL, you want to have as long a season as possible in terms of games, regular season games played. You're going to start in January, because if you start in February, you need to be done. The draft has to be done by that period. At least has to be done by the time the Olympics start. Or, I mean, this is a possibility. I wouldn't suggest it, but you finish the season, then you do the draft and free agency after the Olympics, which is a month, right? The Olympics is a month generally, month and a half. I don't say, I mean, I'm no economist. I just don't think that's the right move. So they have to work around that, because let's remember their US TV deal is up at the end of this season. So if the NHL's like, screw it, we're just going to do it through the Olympics, I don't think NBC is going to be happy about that. And it's not like the NHL is going to be put on priority NBC channels. They're going to be on the no-name NBC channels that that anyone barely watches,
like Sportsnet 360. You know what? And yeah, let's be honest. The key there is you mentioning the US TV deal. If we got upset about NBC having some priority in the bubble, or NHL staff in the bubble, and then NBC having, like, I think it was the world broadcast, we got upset about that. Yeah. The NBC legitimately could have massive influence over the season because of how we've been talking about this US deal for so long, because it is so important
since the beginning of the show.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if we talked about it on the first day, on the first episode.
Hockey related revenue. This is like everyone else talking about that in Seattle coming in. By the way, it's weird. They're coming in in less than 12 months. Should be.
I'm excited.
Oh, and the expansion draft.
Yeah, a lot to think about there.
Not just the NHL draft. If the NHL is smart, they put the Seattle expansion draft, the results, on a night where there is absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that's going to be very difficult to do, because there's going to be baseball on, and sure, like, I don't know if there's a lot of mixing hockey and baseball I don't know, but I'd be really pushing for this expansion draft to be the priority.
Mm-hmm.
Make it exciting. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I think too, like when I talk to a lot of friends who are not necessarily into hockey, I just remember that even if it's just something to introduce them to it, like they consider the expansion draft like a spectacle to them. They expected it to be something that was fun to watch. And they did get a little bit more invested in a way, like, which I'm okay with, is the novelty of it all, of plucking these players, but at the same time, like introducing these teams that I know they kind of sometimes represent the regionalism of it, but like, Golden Knights, Kraken, these are types of teams that I think like it will help with the excitement of people who are not necessarily invested in hockey.
I
And
think
that's what you need for this
what
TV deal.
helps, yeah, what really gonna give a very, very, very good point there. Kraken, and then another aspect.
The crack house.
Seattle is a massive sports market.
Yeah.
Like massive. That should really because no offense, and I am the one saying this. I am the one who is currently across the Bell Center is just over there, right?
I can see it.
Like, no, you can't. You could see it if I went on my patio, but I'm too scared to
Next
do that.
episode.
Sure, why not? But like, this is me saying this, right? The guy who wants the Nordiques back. If you had some big announcement of bringing the Nordiques, no one would care. But Seattle, that has interest. People in the States are going to care about, oh, wait, Seattle. Okay, what about hockey people? You getting some Seattle stuff? Okay, all right, that's pretty nice.
I mean,
It's-
look. Sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Oh,
No,
for
go
me,
ahead.
I just kind of think it really re-energized that city, having this hockey team, because people are going to see it now as a way to say, okay, what about all the other stuff that we've kind of put under the rug the past few years? And I'm talking about the Seattle Supersonics, where they have all of these other Hall of Fame guys already, like Ray Allen, Gary Payton, these guys that it was funny. Like, I think Oklahoma City Thunder is like, hey, you guys want to retire your jerseys here? It's like, no, we never played for you. We want our jerseys retired in Seattle.
Right.
And that's been reintroduced in the conversation. And I think when we talk about Seattle being that sports hub, I think that it could get a lot higher if they, two things. They bring in this new hockey team, and then they bring back a beloved team that, because of financial reasons in an arena dispute, they were gone.
Yeah, just look at the support that the Seahawks and the Seattle Sounders, their MLS team, gets.
Or even the Mariners, they're bad.
Oh yeah,
and
and the Mariners.
They're bad, and they get how many fans?
Lads, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a very busy few weeks.
Yeah. Oh, quickly before we move on, are we moving on, or you have another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I highly doubt they're gonna play 82 games. I just think it
Mm-hmm.
crams the schedule too much.
Yeah, I feel bad for Ovechkin. Hopefully
What
he
numbers are
can-
you guys looking at?
72. I think
72?
I think the Dango guys were mentioning that.
I think it's closer to 48. I think it's a lockout shortened year in
I
2013.
have one number and then one honorable mention number.
Of course you do.
So
I love it.
realistically, it's 54 in my head for some reason. And then
Okay.
if they actually could squeeze in a few more, I'll say 65.
Those are such specific numbers.
I know.
Okay. Did you guys see the Notre Dame stuff?
Oh,
one?
when they ran on the field last
Yeah.
night? Yeah, I
So
did.
this is from SportsCenter on Twitter. Notre Dame fans rushed the field after upsetting number 1 seed Clemson double OT, and it is a football field.
It's
No, it's
huge.
not the whole field, but it's a solid. I'm saying that's at least 40 yards, and it is just a mosh pit.
Oh, it's huge.
I cannot wait to see the Notre Dame COVID numbers over the coming
Oh,
weeks.
man.
It is
Because-
like sorry, finish what you're saying, Adam.
No, I was gonna do one of my dramatic pauses, but go.
Oh,
Oh, I was just getting, have you ever been to Downsview Park? You know where down
No.
no.
no?
Okay.
Okay.
Do you know Dan, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like when they have the stage up there and it's just a cluster of people. That's what it looked like.
hmm I remember
you-
Rolling Stones were playing there. I remember that. When I was a
you
kid.
wanna
I went when I was a
see-
kid. I didn't understand what's going on, but I'm like, okay.
Oh, really?
If you want to see a picture of
Wow.
it, check out the YouTube because I'm sharing
Good
my
Lord.
screen
On the
right now.
shared screen, it looks so much worse. Like when you just see it on your phone on Twitter, you're like, okay.
But like on our computers, the nice little like look at that. Look
That's
at
a-
these people.
That's a
What do you-
literal mosh pit.
First of all, how many people do you think that is?
2000.
No, I feel like it's more than 2,000, but I also feel like I'm overestimating how many people are in that mosh pit.
We're saying though at least 20. No, why am I saying 20? A couple hundred people might be getting it, might be getting COVID, and the numbers in the U.S. they are not getting better. They are not getting better though.
It's one of those mosh pits I wish I would have been if there was no COVID. I'd love to be a part of.
You have a specific band in mind? I just can't think
Absolutely
of one
not.
right now.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
No?
Daniel.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, if you
Definitely
check
not
the
on my T-shirt.
not on your T-shirt. That, if you check the YouTube channel, you'll see. Yeah.
That's for another day.
Sure.
That's another story.
I was gonna say something, but I've lost my train of thought.
That's sorry.
Something about, speaking of rushing the field after getting COVID, or related to COVID, Justin Turner of the LA Dodgers will face no discipline after rushing back to celebrate his team winning the World Series. I remember that this time, the Commissioner's Trophy, dumb trophy. Going back on the field after they tested positive. They released 3 very long statements, and Twitter, typically no one read it, and it was like asking people for summaries. I did read it. I'm assuming you guys did as well because we're responsible people. And boy, do the MLB love letting people get away with breaking the rules. Boy, do they.
Yeah, for me, it's really disappointing. I think I've mentioned it before that up until this point, I was a huge fan of Justin Turner. He's like, if I could compare him to other sports, it's kind of like he's that heart and soul kind of guy that, he'll probably make 1 or 2 all-star games in his career, but he's a guy that, he's taken the long road to kind of get to where he is. And yeah, it's upsetting. Like, it's just to see him off the hook like that for what has happened with the MLB this year, for how lenient they were with everything, with the fact that despite what's going on with the global pandemic, they said that we're not going to shorten the season. And then when they shortened the season, they say, hey, we're still going to travel to all these places. And this was the MLB's moment to say, okay, we're going to put our foot down and we're going to be part of the solution to control this. That we're not going to just say, let's be lenient and let's say, okay, it was for the good of the sport. He won his championship. Let's dismiss everything else.
Here's the thing that I have the most issue with. Sure, I guess they were more lenient than other leagues. Them in the NFL, in terms of traveling and stuff like that. They had a certain plan in place, right? These are the rules. If you break them, there should be consequences. But someone broke the rules and there were no consequences. Like the NFL, I mean, say what you want, but they just fined the Oakland Raiders. Am I right? And I think they might have lost a draft pick for breaking the rules because there was a cluster of cases on the team. So at least they're keeping them accountable. I feel like the MLB just didn't do that. Mm-hmm. That's what I have the most issue with.
They are. Are they a worse league than the NHL? Are they worse?
I'd say, I don't know. Yeah, probably. I would.
Is Rob Manfred, Daniel, the worst commissioner in sports? Because it feels like it.
All I'm gonna say is Gary Bettman got more brownie points this year in terms of Major League Sports, and Rob Manfred lost quite a few.
That's fair. What, because the NHL did the bubble and then the MLB waited into the playoffs to do theirs?
Yeah, like one example I'll say, and it's one thing that I look at now that it was an unfortunate thing because it made some fans allegedly think that this COVID thing is not as serious as we think it should be. The Florida Marlins, a team that has been, ravaged with COVID, that the amount of games that they had delayed, they are a team that still made the playoffs. And I think people were still thinking, okay, maybe, we could be a bit more lenient now because look, a team full of athletes, full of all this staff, all of this management just got COVID and they're still okay to hit the field. But yeah, it's just one thing that I think about that. I wish they were more serious about this. I think the outdoors aspect too. Like they think that if they're playing the games outdoors, everything's okay.
Daniel, I wish a lot more people were taking COVID seriously. I won't lie to you.
Yeah,
Wish millions of more people were. But,
especially Ontario right now.
Yeah, what did we have a new single day high today?
Mhm.
1,300. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
But we can go to the gym, just so you know.
Really? Is that if they? I know in Toronto they had them
That's
down. Is it
another
back
week.
up?
Yeah, New
The
York
Quebec
region.
numbers.
I've not seen.
I think they're the same
yet.
thing. I just got a
Same thing?
notification from the
Ah.
CBC.
Won't lie, I haven't checked. I kind of play Pokemon when I woke up.
Well, that's good. You're staying away from crowds by playing Pokemon. Thank you, Adam.
I have not gone further than the grocery store that is 39 levels below me since I got back to Montreal.
Well, it's okay. It's what people are. That's what they tell you to do, right? Only the essentials.
Yep. You know, that's also
Really not.
why I don't have a girlfriend because I'm isolating, nothing to do
Okay,
with.
that went
That went dark real quick.
that went off the rails right there.
Yep. Yep. I'm doing my part. What about you guys? Daniel going on
doing
his
my part.
walks. Yep.
Yes, my walks where I go to areas where there's not many people, and then I forget where I park the car. That much, like, you know,
Like what happened
social
today?
distancing from others.
By the way, I remember what I was going to say earlier when Alex mentioned mosh pits. There's nothing I'd like to do less than go in a mosh pit.
I just
Nothing
want to go
else.
in one. I always go to rock concerts with my dad because apparently I ended up in a group of friends in high school that didn't like rock and metal, but I always had to stand on the outside of the mosh pit. My dad's getting older. He doesn't want to do that kind of stuff.
I've been to
Reasonable.
two.
I just want to go in one.
Yeah, I've been to two in my life.
You went in a mosh pit?
Yeah, so well, one is like an actual one, and
don't-
then one
I
is
don't believe you.
actually there's a good connection to something that was very kind of sad. Mike tweeted about it as well.
Okay.
So one of my first concerts was back in the day.
Back in the
was
day.
the Beatles? No, I'm kidding. Was Alexis
Honestly,
on Fire?
I would have believed you.
Was Alexis on Fire?
Okay.
So
yeah, I
that
know
was
Alexis
like
on
my
fire.
first.
Wait,
mosh
is
pit
it
that-
Alex is on fire or Alexis on fire?
I say Alexis on Fire.
Okay.
So just let it
Alexis
roll off
on
the
fire.
tongue. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, like, I'm a huge Dallas Green fan as well, so I think that's why I went. So that was in grade 11.
Okay.
And then a very relaxed. This was the one that connects to Mike's tweet. So it's a
What
bit
was
more
Mike's tweet?
about the mod club closing.
Oh yes.
So I got to see Tokyo Police Club there.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, great band, by the way. You guys should listen to them. Yeah, but like that was like another experience that was fun. So yeah, I don't know. Looking back on that, when you mentioned like mosh pits, I'm just thinking now, like, man, I'm gonna miss the mod club. It was really fun.
I don't remember anything. I don't know anything you taught. I don't know the mod. I don't know any of those bands. I was lost for that entire few minutes there. I'm not
Okay.
gonna
That's
lie.
okay.
What is? Because I know Alex's favorite band, but I don't know Adam's favorite band.
I don't have one.
The soundtrack of the Pokemon game. I don't know.
No.
The Star Wars soundtrack, which
John
is
Williams.
which is absolutely,
John
which is
Williams.
absolutely incredible. By the way,
John Williams mosh pit.
John Williams. I would do that. It would just be a bunch of people dressed up as like clone troopers and then Jedi. That'd be
Start
nuts.
fighting each other with their lightsabers in like a huge crowd.
You ever seen that clip of like, I guess it's at like a Disney park or whatever, and like a dude's dressing up as Kylo Ren and the Stormtroopers? It's really like a Last Jedi thing.
I
And
think
this
so.
one fan is like going up to the Kylo Ren dude with a lightsaber, and the Stormtrooper comes and he's like, "There may be one Last Jedi, but it's not you." And everyone around him just starts laughing.
Oh,
Funniest
that's
thing
so
I've ever
mean.
seen.
Is
Awful,
the arena
yeah.
battle and the Battle of Geonosis with the Jedi and the Geonosians and the droids, is that a Star Wars mosh pit?
No, that's war.
Yeah, that's war.
That's
That's not
bloody
a mosh
war.
pit. That's not a mosh pit.
I won't lie. I don't really have a favorite band because maybe maybe Flow. Flow's a good one. They're Japanese though, so it's look up Flow.
I mean, they're still a
Colors.
band,
It's a really
right?
good song. Yeah, but they do a lot of. I imagine in Japan that if your songs become the openings or closings of anime, I feel like if you
You've
get a
made it.
song that is an opening for One Piece, I feel like you've done it.
Yeah.
Flow have done openings for Naruto. They've done ones for Seven Deadly Sins. Like they've gotten some good ones. and their music is just. They had one for Code Geass, but my favorite one is a song called Colors. Listen to it; it's actually really catchy. Like I listen to it. I don't speak Japanese, obviously. I wish I did. Like I've started learning some of this. Like I can sing a good part of it.
Sorry, just before we move on,
Sure.
I just
So,
remember because
yeah.
it's been Halloween, so I just remember
Did
they
you
were
watch
already
it?
kind of popular.
Did you watch Halloween?
No. So like
You haven't watched it yet.
the holiday
It's unbelievable.
Halloween. I watched Pet Cemetery again.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, that was a good one. And I just remember like when you said like if something becomes a theme song of a movie, Adam, or like a show, it becomes a lot more popular. But like I mean, the Ramones were already so popular, so when they came out with Pet Cemetery for the song, it just was kind of cool because like apparently they toured with it because like they toured with it and became a song people wanted to listen to. But like at the time, Stephen King just like, hey, I just need someone to make a song for this movie. Can you do it for me?
Yeah.
Daniel, have you ever seen the movie School of Rock?
Yes, I love them. I actually watched it last week.
Oh, so did I.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
All right. So I asked the lad. I put it in the Google Doc, hoping the lads would do it, and they did. Each of us are going to crown because the off season. I don't know what Hoffman and Hamonic are doing. None of us do.
They're hanging out. I don't know.
They're doing their own thing. Hoffman's trying to get a normal deal, like nothing's happened in the world, and Nashville might give it to him.
They're gonna pull a 2012 Minnesota Wild of Zach Parise and Ryan Suter. They're gonna both announce the same team for the same contract.
I mean, why not? Though I want to know your guys' we're crowning champions of the offseason. I'll start with you, Alex. Who is your and why champion of the offseason?
It's a weird team to pick as champion of the offseason because they were so bad, but I think they drastically improved. I did not pick the Leafs. I did pick the Detroit Red Wings, and I will explain why. Firstly, they got Thomas Greiss. I almost said Jonathan Bernier. And I think he's a sneaky good goalie. The only issue I have is I don't know what he looks like not behind the Islanders defense.
Okay. So just to get this clear, you're champion of the offseason.
Because but that's not it. That's not it. They were able to they got an extra second round pick. They're utilizing their cap space properly.
That was the Stahl deal.
Mark Stahl deal. Yep. They brought in Bobby Ryan, who after coming back to the Senators looked pretty damn good. Vlad Nemestikov, who my thoughts on Vlad Nemestikov, and I really like. The more I look at the Anthony Mantha deal, the more I like the Anthony Mantha deal. Mm-hmm. And I know I could have picked Vegas just because they got Alex Pietrangelo, but I decided to not do that. And I thought you were going to pick Montreal, so I just didn't want to pick Montreal.
Daniel, of course you didn't. Of course, Daniel, go ahead. Who's your champion of the offseason?
Great, interesting take. I don't know what Alex is. As I've said many times on this show, I love Anthony Mantha. Yeah. But for me, I actually went with the Leafs. To be honest, I think that a lot of the deficiencies we saw in the play-in rounds, a lot of the things that we discussed going into the offseason, like what needs to be addressed, I think that Kyle Dubas did what he needed to do, and we've praised him for the Kasperi Kapanen trade. Looking back, I still like that trade a lot. I think, with exception to the first round pick, I think Philip Hollander could be a great piece for Toronto. Along the way, like a good top 9 option. In terms of the free agencies, like I know they were going to get him last year, but like I absolutely also love Timothy Brody. I think he really does fill it really well. He's proven he can play on the right side. He's a guy that wants to play for Toronto and an excellent cap hit. Looking back, I know like hindsight's 2020, but I wish they got TJ Brody instead of Tyson Barrie. They remedied it now. I like Alex Kerfoot for what he provides for the team, but I think this was that kind of move that that was supposed to happen, and I like that Kyle Dubas said, all right, let me run it back and let me fix what I initially wanted to do before Kadri nixed that trade. And then in terms of like the depth, I love Wayne Simmons. I like what he gives to the team. I didn't pick him as a potential person to go to Toronto because I think I had Tyler Plithick because I think I didn't. That was before the Kapanen trade. Yeah, that was the initial before the Kapanen trade. So I thought they were going on a bit of a budget there, but I like that Wayne Simmons kind of took a discount to come to Toronto. He could rebuild his value. He's a guy that wants to play for the team. He's something that they've kind of been missing since Matt Martin, to be honest. But Wayne Simmons could actually score and skate. And in terms of, we talked about it before, Joe Thornton coming to Toronto. I love it.
Too much leadership.
I love the leadership thing,
Too much.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Fair
it.
enough.
So I will give that to the Toronto Maple Leafs because they did so much when everyone thought they were not going to do anything because of the cap.
Sorry, just to be clear, I did not pick Montreal because I'm a Toronto fan. I didn't pick Montreal because I thought Adam was going to pick Montreal. And I'm like, there's no reason for both of us to explain why when it's going to be the exact same reason. I just want to point out that I did not pick Toronto and that Daniel did. I want to make that very clear.
I thought you were going to pick Toronto, so I was about to say Winnipeg in my head, but no, I'm like, okay, I'll go with Toronto.
You picked Winnipeg, I would have laughed at you. No. Especially because last week we said their defense took a single step forward.
A single step.
That's it. I think that's a fair shout. I think both of you have very, very fair shouts. Yeah, I was close to going to Vegas, but I looked at, okay, you improved your defense. I really like Pietrangelo, obviously. You extended Leonard. That's amazing. You have a really good tandem. I just really don't like that they don't have a better centerman. Losing Stastny, necessary evil, but I still don't trust, especially when you have to compete against Kadri and McKinnon. I just don't like Carlson. We talked about, Cody Glass, you have to depend on him to take that first step. And I think he will, but it's just that, if you're matching up him versus Kadri at where they are developmentally in their careers, and we've seen what Kadri can do when he's not, cross-checking people in the face and
when he's not playing Boston.
When he's not playing Boston. But the reason, and I got to make this very clear because I'm wearing a Montreal Canadiens hat. I live in Montreal and I have a Patrick Waugh goalie mask on my right calf. Okay, I am not choosing them just because I'm a fan. But I will say though, it probably does help that I know the team extremely well, obviously, as you guys do for the Leafs and the Ducks. Because I look at that the Canadiens improved in every aspect of their game. They improved the defense with Edmondson and bringing Romanov in. They improved the goaltending. They got more scoring up front. They got some penalty killers, guys who can help on the power play. I won't go too much into it because and check out our Phil Deneau debate episode because Alex and I had a very good discussion about kind of like the thing of Phil Deneau, and I also presented their every reason. I made an argument that Bergevin should win GM of the year right now. So yeah, that's the reason I went with Montreal because they improved everywhere. But I do think Vegas. I think all three of us would be okay with giving an honorable mention to Vegas as well because you bring in arguably the best defenseman in the world, even though I'd say Victor Hedman. And bro, you've locked up Robin Leonard, and you have a really good. We talked about their tandem as well. Check out a few episodes ago when we did a Vegas deep dive.
Yeah, young guys too coming up, like Payne Krebs. I didn't think he was going to take that step this year in junior.
Yeah, is it Nick Hague? I know Nick Hague, Roberts in Philadelphia. Yeah. Nick Hague is there as well. Vegas, they're almost a model organization. They've been here for what feels like a second. Right. So we're doing a deep dive again this episode. And today
before we go, do you want to talk about there were a couple signings. If you want to get to them.
Quick hits onto it.
Well, Brendan Lemieux, obviously they ended up settling.
Yeah.
We talked about him last episode.
And
2 years, 1.55.
Perfectly fine.
I think we would all agree with that. Vladislav Gavrikov, 2.8 for 3 years. I mean, they still have to do Dubois, so I guess that's what the storyline is in Columbus. But I guess that's not bad too, considering you traded Nudi Vara, you traded Ryan Murray. He's left-handed. You must trust him. I mean, at this point, you don't really have another option.
2BC Productions, great defenseman. Yeah,
Great,
Yeah.
great defenseman. Apparently, it's so odd that he that's who he's relying on.
It's just one
in
of
this
those,
GM
yeah,
mode.
just one of those picks that I don't like. The Blue Jackets just somehow like we don't really hear too much about it, or we'll hear like, okay, that's a pretty solid guy, and then suddenly like, oh, okay, well, yeah, this guy's actually a fixture on this team. Like I remember when I first heard about like Jonas Corposalo, where apparently he was a stretch in 2012 for the draft when he went like the first pick of the third round, and suddenly he's what, they're 1A or they're 1B, like, you know, or they're 1-1.
he's a goalie. They just flip a coin.
That
Yeah.
or I know he's gone now, but Marcus Nudivara, that was a solid pick. That I initially, I know he was a cap casualty, but he's
You're a
someone too that
defenseman.
I didn't think was gonna develop the same. Or Alex Texier, I didn't think he was gonna emerge this quickly.
Right.
What about Mackenzie Weegar?
The last one.
Yeah.
The one that every
Sec-
Leaf fan except me wanted.
Second last one. I want to ask Daniel about someone else you probably
Oh,
see
I
on
know
Cap
exactly who it is. Apparently every Leaf fan but me wanted to get Mackenzie Weegar. I don't know why.
For
Like I know
William
he's
Nylander.
listen, I know he's
By the way,
Don't
he
get me started.
re-ups in Florida 3 years, 3.25 per.
I know he's a good defenseman, but I don't know if it makes sense on the team at 3.25. Like I think Hall is if Mackenzie Weegar was brought in and that was his number, Hall's gone, Engvall's gone, just because of the cap, and you kind of have your top four fitted in Riley, Muzzin, Brody, and Weegar.
To be honest, like what he gives to the game, and I know that a lot of people say what he does in terms of his defensive numbers. Like I'm not on the hype train with him. Like I think he is a good, like he's like a Brett Pesci, Jacob Slavin light. In a way where I think that a lot of teams need that element on their team, but you don't have to overvalue it in this way. I think that sometimes we go too far. We're like, we need that two-way guy, but it's hard to get. You know, a lot of these guys want to be offensive defensemen. So like I think that when you go so far on the offensive side of things, and then you finally get a guy that will do that dirty work for you, but could still also skate in today's NHL, you really do overvalue him.
That's
Yeah.
very fair. That's very, very fair.
For me as a Leafs fan, I'd rather wait and see what Mikko Lehtinen looks like in the NHL than pay Mackenzie Weegar $3.25 million. Just my opinion. What do I know?
Another last signing I guess we'll talk about. Daniel, the Ducks have signed Jamie Drysdale. to his entry
Finally.
contract.
Yeah, they got Jacob Perreault as well earlier last week as well. So I'm happy. You know, these two picks that I think they did really well with. Perreault, according to some draft boards, dropped 4 or 5 spots. So that was pretty good for the Ducks to get him. He's a guy where he will probably play 2 World Juniors or something, and then we're not going to see him for a bit because the Ducks tend to kind of put these guys back and forth between junior or the minors. But Jamie Drysdale, man, I in a way, I don't know what Bob Murray thinks he has, because I don't know what that youth is going to look like. But I'm just really happy with that pick. I've been calling the Ducks to get that guy for the last few months. And the fact that he went there because Ottawa took Jake Sanderson, I'm still, almost a month after, I'm still happy.
We live streamed it, and you were we were looking for you that whole time.
Man, that's a great pick.
Good pick, yeah. He'll probably, you know what? I don't know if it's a hot take. I think he'll make the roster. I don't know if he'll stay, but if he does the 9 games thing, even if there's going to be a lot of regulations that are probably thrown out the window because of COVID. Like if we do the 9 games thing to begin with, but watch it happen.
I think. No, go finish what you're saying.
I know it's a stacked Ducks defense, but I mean, why not? Just
a lot of 2-1 games.
we'll just throw in stuff on the wall, to see if my pass is ready. Throw it on the wall and see if it sticks. Go.
I think a lot of it. I think he could probably make the the roster. I just think a lot of it's going to depend on what's going on with the OHL and our prospects under the age, who usually have to go back to the CHL if they could go to the AHL instead. I know Mike was saying that's just, those are rumors that were going around. That was a few weeks ago, but I think that it kind of depends on that for me.
Anything else on Drysdale we want to go to?
No.
Just excited.
Yeah, I'd be excited too if I had him. I mean, no kidding, Goodley. No, Rodion Abramov. Is it Rodion
Amirov.
Rodion Amirov, who's trending because he had a really nice goal, and then
I don't even know why.
He's going up.
you see,
Kaldubas knew.
Askarov was good in the shootout too.
I heard that guy is just demolishing that tournament. Like
Well, you know,
demolishing.
I wish I had I want to get like something like NordVPN. This is not paid, by the way, not as paid thingamajigger. Because Jesperi Kotkaniemi's been playing for Pori, and I wish I could be watching him play right
Where's that?
That is the Liga, Finnish league.
Oh, I can send you a website. You could find that on if you want.
Oh, okay.
Will they sponsor us?
Perfectly legitimate source.
Probably not, Daniel.
Okay, just making sure. I saw the opportunity. Yeah.
Stream.co.msn. Right. So it's time for the deep dive.
Alrighty.
We should just kind of keep on the Central Division because we've kind of accidentally gone for like 4 straight Central teams today. To this date. And today it's time to look at the St. Louis Blues. Of course, they've just lost their captain, Alex Trebek, an amazing defenseman. Well, we're going to start with the goaltenders because I think that's just how we're going to do this from now on. Because I know Daniel wants to talk about forwards, but I want to talk about goalies. So, and the big question here is now that Jake Allen is gone and is backup, question is, can Jordan Binnington handle a larger workload after being a little bit exposed against the Canucks, guys? How good can we expect Jordan Binnington to be, Alex?
Well, I think the real question we should be asking is, can Justin Bieber score on Jordan Binnington?
It's still a thing.
I don't know. It kind of went away. I thought it's an important question to ask.
No, it's not.
No, I think you're right. Like I think it's a very big bet that that Doug Armstrong is making in saying we're going to fully trust Jordan Binnington to be our starter. Cause I don't really know what you're expecting out of Ville Husso. I don't think he's playing the same number of games that, Jake Allen would play as a 1B type guy. So I think you're right. It is a big bet that they're making.
Daniel.
I think when I look at their lineup in terms of their goaltending, it's pretty interesting that they're kind of betting on themselves in a way. Like as Alex mentioned, Ville Husso was coming out of the minors, and then they also signed John Gilly. So these are 2 guys that they're 25 and 26. And when I say risk, I mean like these are 2 guys who are highly touted coming out of the junior leagues, and it just hasn't really translated for them when they've come into the AHL and some NHL experience there with John Gillies, especially when he was on Calgary. So it's interesting that because of cap reasons, they have to rely on Jordan Binnington. So when I look at those 2 guys who may potentially be the backup, especially when I'm looking at their cap space right now where they really don't have anything, it's also going to be what do we have in Jordan Binnington too, because of his contract, because the fact that he could become a UFA. I think it's going to be different. It's going to be like a Matt Murray situation where can we roll with you long term, or were you just like a one-trick pony in a way? Well, I know Matt Murray wasn't. He won 2 cups, but in terms of how the consistency's been between the 2 of them this year, it's really interesting to see what they have with Jordan Binnington, whether or not that he could give them that same consistency that they saw 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what this is a lot like?
What?
And it's a dangerous game that they're playing. If when the Leafs waived McElhaney and Pickard and we're left with Sparks and Casimir Kaskisuo and obviously Frederick Anderson, but as Sparks and Kaskisuo as their backup goalie. Oof.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous game to play if either of them, like we don't really know what either of them are at the moment. And Daniel and Billy Huso and whatever. What's the guy?
John
the guy-
Gillies.
John Gillies. Sorry,
Both highly touted World Junior goalies.
of course.
Well, John Gillies was the U.S. and then Viliuso was Finland.
Gillies was a really good potential goalie you could sign in the NHL games a few years ago. Now, obviously, he's too old. He won't grow in anything. But it's
Only if you could actually play GM mode. Apparently, now it's just too difficult to make it work.
I heard that. Yeah, apparently that's been a huge
Garbage.
gripe right now with the recent game.
I can't even substitute a player, and it's absolute garbage. They released a patch. And they broke the game. It is so annoying. Sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
no worry. No, I get your pain. That's why I'm playing Pokemon and not my GM mode. Jeff Petrie, 20 points, drops 3 overalls after the first year. Thank you, guys. God, I hate them so much. I hate it. I hate it so much. And I got Suzuki locked up for $5.9 million for 6 years. Everything was going so well. But it's a new look defense in the sort of way for the St. Louis Blues that, Pietrangelo goes out, but they bring in Torrey Krug, who is a solid. I cannot wait for a pairing of Parayko and Krug. I think that is a sneaky, fine little deal here. And then maybe you sort of combine Falk and Scandella. They still do have to sign Vince Dunn, but it is it a step down? Yes. But I don't think it is a disastrous defensive core. It's still a few steps. It's still better than Winnipeg's.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Winnipeg took a step up, a singular step up. Maybe St. Louis took 2 steps, just 2 steps down.
Yeah, but
Right.
it's still the distance between Winnipeg and St. Louis is still
Oh, huge, of
it's
course.
still comparing like
course.
I don't know. It's like comparing a sirloin to a flank or something. I don't know.
I don't there's no gaping hole anymore. Talking about, when Alex Pietrangelo left, Torrey Krug's perfectly okay to kind of, could be that kind of quarterback guy on the left side. I don't think he's gonna be Alex Pietrangelo, and I don't think they're expecting him to be, but I think he fits into that defensive core so well with what they're trying to build there.
I think it's very fair.
And the height difference too, when you put Torrey Krug between Colton Parayko, that'd be interesting.
It's like,
Yeah. I think what they had in Alex Pietrangelo was a very good all-around defenseman, similar to Victor Hedman. Now, obviously, I think I'd put Victor Hedman above Alex Pietrangelo, but in terms of offense and defense, I think Alex Pietrangelo is a very good all-around player. What they get in Torrey Krug, though, is more of an offensive defenseman who can quarterback your power play with no issue. So that's why when you brought up playing with Colton Parayko, I couldn't agree more. I think the steps that Colton Parayko has taken over the last few years defensively, I think that's a perfect fit for Torrey Krug.
Mm-hmm. Now, offensively, there is a.
Before we move, sorry, you're talking about the defense still or the forwards now?
I was about to go to forward. So.
Just one more thing before we move on to the forwards. And I may say his last name incorrectly. Scott Puronovich. He was that NCAA guy that he's been highly touted to make this team. And he may sneak in there, might take a Robert Bortuzzo spot there, but he's a guy that the Blues have been developing. He is someone that I think could take up some NHL minutes. So the Blues have a lot of options there.
For sure.
You are muted, Adam.
Well, that's an issue.
Before we go into the forwards, you talk about how you talk about Pietrangelo improving on his defense. I just want to show you a quick clip here. Dying seconds of the game against the Canadiens a few years ago. As you can see, tie game, Pietrangelo whiffs on the pass, Gallagher scores. And I think I went to that game actually.
Oh.
I might have.
Was that your footage?
No, it was. It was actually, by the way, my season tickets, I've moved to another section now,
Oh.
behind Montreal's net.
That's good.
Completely now. I'm pretty excited for
See
it.
Jake Allen more.
No, I where Montreal shoots twice. So I'm going to see lots of Tyler Toffoli action. Now, forwards is a bit of a funny story for the Blues because they will have some LTIR stuff. Vladimir Tarasenko seems to have re-aggravated his shoulder injury. I'm so sorry, Vlad. Alex Steen is also on injury reserve. So, as speculated by Pierre LeBrun Insider trading a few weeks ago, there is a chance that maybe there's a sneaky scenario when they can bring in Mike Hoffman. But we'll just kind of put that to the side.
They can't even bring in Vince Dunn.
What?
They can't even bring in Vince Dunn. How are they going to bring him? No, like I'm not. I get the scenario, but they can't. They don't even have money. Like they're over the cap already. By $1 million, 1.1.
Contracts out there. I'm like, man, I didn't know these guys were getting paid this much. Like, I know he is a great two-way guy, but I didn't know Oscar Sundqvist was making above $2 million.
You know what else is rough? That Braden Shen's deal kicks in now, and it's like 8 years long.
Yeah.
And then they have to re-sign Schwartz at the end of this year too. But looking at them, this is basically still the St. Louis Blue core that won the Stanley Cup. And
yeah,
I mean, if there's a player to keep an eye on next year, he took a big step forward this year, but I think last season we're in such a weird place that we should be a month into the NHL season right now. Robert Thomas, I'm excited to see what he does this year for this team. Top six, especially with Tarasenko out. There's a big thing in the top six for him.
And guess what? He's an RFA at the end of the year.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh, lovely.
What I'm excited about, like, and when you mentioned the forwards that are coming up, with Robert Thomas, great World Junior guy. What I kind of look at is these two guys that they've been a bit understated, but I think they're ready for a bigger role, and that's Jordan Kyrou and Klim Kostin.
Yes.
I think they've been really patient with the two of them, and they're guys that they've kind of shown with like some of the NHL experience they've had already that, they could kind of fit in there. They could be these two guys, be someone that could potentially fill the holes here and there along the forward lines, especially if you're not going to get Tarasenko or Steen. I'm not saying that they're going to replace Tarasenko, but they're guys that they're really already so high on that I think it's time to give them a chance. And in terms of what the Blues have for cap space, like why not use these guys?
I mean, why not? Kyra's been pretty highly touted for a few years. Also, they're a little bigger up front, bringing in Kyle Clifford, who gave up millions of dollars by leaving the Leafs, but probably not a great decision for Kyle Clifford, if I'm being honest with you.
At least keep the second.
Because, I thought the Blues were... I say they got bigger. They're pretty big alone. They're a very prototypical Western Conference team, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Not Pietrangelo, idiot. You talked about earlier, Daniel, the size of Parayko. He's a monster. Guys like O'Reilly's nothing. He's not a small dude. Big boys.
Go.
Sorry, just go ahead. Oh, I just a really funny short tidbit. Alex, I forgot Dakota Joshua is on the Blues.
Who?
He was one of those Mark Hunter advised picks that they took. And then,
hey, Daniel, be very careful what you say next because they will attack you. They will attack.
Did they draft him at 20 years old or 19? But he's 6'4", 210?
Yeah, it's one of those guys that were the big guys that they just end up not signing to an entry level deal, and then you start trading him, or you just don't, or you renounce his rights.
He's 6'2", 183 pounds. Okay. So close. They traded him to St. Louis for future considerations. So nothing. It was a 2014 5th round pick. So you didn't really miss much.
I just remember him.
Let's just see who was drafted right after him, because I feel like Ryan Mantha. No one, not really. I guess. Oh, you know who is drafted 108th overall, which is 5 spots after? We talked about him a couple episodes ago. Devin Tays.
Wow.
We talked about it with maybe in terms of maybe bringing Hoffman in, but also just like focusing on this player's impact by himself.
Mhm.
The Blues are also kind of another team that are going to have to deal with a big loss in Vladimir Tarasenko to start the year as
Mhm.
well. And he has had, I didn't realize this until I had a good look at his Hockey DB page. He has had some injuries. It sucks because this is a guy who can score 30, 40 goals. And
Yeah.
I wonder, like, I don't want, because I think when he was healthy, he was still, I think he was just about point per game last season. I do have a question mark around Tarasenko, though. I'm not saying he's injury prone. I'm just saying that there have been some big hits to him. And that shoulder for a goal scorer, it's worrying. And he's a
Yeah.
big ticket.
Yeah. Him and Stamkos, in terms of like if they were healthy, I think we're talking about them like we are. It's a big comparison, but talking about them like we are talking about Alex Ovechkin.
Hey, I don't think it's that much of a reach for Stammer because I mean, again, he did score 60 goals before.
Man, yeah.
No.
When
Anything
I
else?
when I look at their forwards, when you don't have Vladimir Tarasenko, there's two things that kind of pop up to me. I think they're going to be fine in terms of their centermen, but I think they're going to rely a lot more on Jaden Schwartz, and he's a player too that has had a lot of injuries in his career. He's a guy that I know he's going to be in his contract year. He's going to probably be motivated to take that extra step, but he's someone too that I'm worried about. Like, can he play the full season? He did play 71 games last year. He was pretty okay, but the year before that, he missed more than 20 games during their cup run. And how long are the Blues going to rely on, the second resurgence of David Perron in that spot? Like, how long can he kind of keep this surge kind of going for the Blues?
You know what's interesting about Perron? You talk about the 1920 season. Sorry, yeah, 1819. That was a really bad year. That was the year he had 11 goals, and then he came into the playoffs and had 12.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a god. And I mean, in 9 games played in the playoffs, he had 4 goals. I think a lot of people are like, it's fine. But then you remember, like, that team had COVID everywhere, and the play-in didn't really count for those teams. They didn't care.
Yeah.
Guy has playoff numbers. They're 54 points in 84 playoff games, 26 goals. It's a valuable piece. But I mean, if Thomas is coming in, he's done. Alex.
I'm more interested to see how the team or how Doug Armstrong deals with Vince Dunn in terms of like you're already over the cap space, and I get LTIR. What's the recovery time for Tarasenko? I know it was a long period of time, so yeah, you're going to get some money in terms of LTIR, but is it enough to bring back Vince Dunn at least 5 months? And or is that an older injury? And everything pops up at once here.
I mean, it's a good question because Vince Dunn. If Petrangelo was a little upset about how that contract went, I think Vince Dunn's gonna be pretty upset too because he's been the last egg to be laid here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I look at the contracts and I'm like, well, man, like I don't know what they're valuing Vince Dunn at, but Marco Scandella's making 3.275.
I still can't believe that, by the way. Like,
That's
he's
the
making
Vince
that
Dunn
much.
deal.
Like you could give that money to Vince Dunn instead.
Who I think is better. A lot better.
So do I.
Yeah. And younger.
Like, I'm not saying Marco Scandella is a bad hockey player. I just don't think he's 3.2 worth 3.275
at 30
That's
years old.
that's what my main issue is. And again, they did the same thing with Petrangelo. You could have given Justin Falk and Marco Scandella's money to Alex Petrangelo and figured this all out.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with St. Louis?
What is it fair to say their offseason has been it hasn't been disappointing, but I think it's a tad neutral.
For me,
I don't know if it's
yeah.
positive. You lost Alex Petrangelo. Yes, you brought in Torrey Krug. You also don't have your platoon system, which everyone praised you for, and you haven't still dealt with Vince Dunn. Now, by the time the season starts, it could be a completely different story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I look at it, it's like asset management as well, where like it's always like being blessed for what they already have, but they keep moving things around. It's like the Jim Rutherford after winning the cup. You know, like not at that extent yet. Well, we don't know how the years are gonna go, but just moving so many things around when you already had the formula there for you, where you already had these guys in your prime. You had a lot of guys coming up through the system. You drafted pretty well the last few years, but then you're just kind of disrupting things here and there. And we don't know what the internal conversations have been, but if it's been about what you've said, like when it comes to like these contracts, we look at like Marco Scandella, Justin Falk, like now that you can't sign Vince Dunn, that it kind of puts them in a bind. And I guess for me, ending on a positive note with this, I really like Jake Neighbors. Love the name. Might be a
Yeah.
solid guy. We'll see.
The name is all you need in this league and on this podcast. You have a good name, you get by pretty quickly. Anything else, lads?
I don't think so. Let's just check Twitter. Let's just make sure 2020 didn't get worse.
There is one good thing about Marco Scandella, and I'm just trying to find it really quickly.
World Juniors.
If you can, no, not the World Juniors. Though it freaking. Okay, hold on a minute. I'm going to share my screen. There is one good thing about Marco Scandella, and I was at the game when he scored the goal. And if we can just watch this quickly.
thanks.
All right, there we go. Is that
I'm just not
Thompson?
gonna. I'm just not gonna
What?
look.
This Scandella. Beautiful.
Was that his only goal as a Canadian?
Yeah, this is only goals.
Because I made like what 3 points for Montreal.
Yeah, around there. Oh, have you guys ever actually bought Charmin toilet roll?
Extra strong.
Yeah,
extra
like I like
strong?
the
No, I
Bears. The
have
Bears are nice. And there it is. Remember Ilya Kovalchuk?
No.
God,
But he's not on the Devils anymore.
where is he? Who will sign Ilya Kovalchuk?
Hanging out somewhere. I don't know.
I don't know. I hope he comes. I hope he gets a spot. I miss him.
He
Maybe
goes to
not
Winnipeg,
actually-
gets his jersey retired there.
What?
He goes to the Jets and gets his jersey retired there.
No.
But it has to be a Thrashers banner.
Yeah.
I hope that he does a Justin Williams and like at the deadline he comes to Montreal. That'd be really nice. I would really enjoy that.
That'd be very nice of him, I
Really
guess.
enjoy that. Why not?
Why not?
Um,
Why not?
Mm.
There's nothing else on Twitter that, at least from my following, 2020 has not gone worse within the last 2 hours or
I'm not.
hour and a half.
I'm still not over that Trebek stuff. I'm pissed off about that.
Yeah.
There's just no justice in the world. All right then. I think that's everything. If you enjoyed the show, I mean, why wouldn't you? Be sure to check out the YouTube version. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. While you're on YouTube, check out my YouTube channel. YouTube, you ever heard of it? For all your Habs needs, check out Alex's blog. Check out all of Daniel's stuff for the Ryerson. If you're on iTunes or whatever, leave a 5-star rating, leave a review, all that sort of stuff. Tell us what you love about the show, because you must love everything. If you don't like something, well, what do you think we could change? I mean, we're pretty amazing as is, but our heads aren't that big. At least, well, mine's pretty big, but we don't need to talk about that. Thank you to Voice Ad, as always, for being a fantastic platform for the show. Follow us all on social media. That will all be in the description below. Follow the show's Instagram and Twitter pages and Facebook like that as well.
Yep.
That's everything.
That's everything. Daniel, any last words?
We love you, listeners.